Elias had spent years chasing myths. He had scoured forgotten manuscripts, deciphered cryptic maps, and traced the whispers of scholars long dead. But none of his research had prepared him for the moment he stood before the entrance of the ancient library. The structure was hidden away in the heart of an abandoned district, its stone walls cracked with age, vines creeping along its surface like nature's own script. The massive wooden doors bore carvings in an unfamiliar language, symbols that twisted and seemed to shimmer when he looked too long. He swallowed his hesitation and pushed them open. The scent of dust and parchment greeted him, thick and heady. The library stretched far beyond what was architecturally possible. Rows upon rows of towering bookshelves extended into shadow, the ceiling lost in an eternal twilight that flickered with an unseen light source. A shiver crawled down his spine. There was no librarian in sight, yet the moment Elias stepped forward, the library acknowledged him. The air stirred as if something unseen moved between the shelves. A book dislodged itself and drifted toward him, landing gently in his hands. It was bound in dark leather, its cover devoid of any title or markings. His fingers tingled as he opened it. The pages were filled with shifting symbols that reformed themselves into readable text as he focused. The words spoke of things impossible, histories that had never been recorded, creatures that lurked in the void between worlds, secrets not meant for human minds. He felt as though something was whispering to him, not in his ears, but directly in his thoughts. As he read, the silence of the library was disrupted by a soft rustling. Elias looked up. The shelves were not still. Books rearranged themselves, pages fluttering without wind. It was as if the library was alive, breathing, responding to his presence. He turned back to the book. The text now spoke directly to him. "You should not have come here." His heart pounded. He snapped the book shut and placed it back on the nearest shelf. But the moment he did, another book floated toward him, opening mid-air. The words formed before his eyes. "Now that you have entered, you cannot leave without knowing." The air grew heavy, pressing against him. The flickering twilight dimmed, and in the distance, something moved. A figure, or perhaps just a shifting shadow, lurked between the towering shelves. Elias stepped back, pulse racing. The library was not abandoned. It was inhabited. A deep, dry voice echoed from the darkness. "You are not the first to seek knowledge here. But knowledge has a cost." The figure emerged, clad in robes that seemed woven from the night itself, their features obscured beneath a hood. A single, withered hand extended toward Elias, gesturing for him to continue reading. "What is this place?" Elias managed to ask. "A repository of truths that should not be known," the figure answered. "Each book here was not written, but recorded by forces beyond your understanding. They do not merely contain words. They contain presence. And now, they know you." Elias felt a cold dread creeping into his bones. He glanced at the shelves around him, realizing the books were no longer still. Some pulsed as though breathing. Some shivered as if in anticipation. A realization clawed at his mind. If the books were aware of him, then they could communicate, could interact. But more importantly, they could remember. The whispering grew louder. The symbols in the books flashed, forming warnings, demands, and questions in languages long forgotten. The presence within the library was no longer passive, it was awake. Elias stumbled backward, but the robed figure did not move. "You have been noticed," it said. "And now, the library will not let you leave empty-handed." Books began to unbind themselves, their pages lifting, stretching, twisting into grotesque shapes. Some formed hands. Others formed mouths. The entire library pulsed like a great beast stirring from slumber. Elias turned and ran, but the shelves shifted, closing in, the corridors warping and twisting as if the library itself was changing to keep him trapped. He had come seeking knowledge, but now he understood, this was not a place to read. It was a place to be read.